with your day as well. I'm trying to force myself to be more... I might as well have a laid-back... Yeehaw! But be careful that your batteries don't run out for various reasons. And just like I say each time, don't forget to save frequently!
I never expected the funhouse itself to be the ultimate weapon. Oh well, let's just press on ahead. Is it really alright to accept a situation so easily? I mean, that's not what's important. The thing that's really important is... the killer who used the building structure. Like, who's Mekumaru's murderer?
But is it really okay to believe the building is the weapon? Nagito said it, you know.
There's no way I'd lie at such an... What happened to the bastard who kept saying how much they didn't mind dying?
He's right. There was a time when I thought I could become a stepping stone for your hopes, but... I will sincerely retract that remark.
Retract?
I'm disappointed too, you know. If this was a murder for the sake of...
You say such falsehoods. There is no such thing as murder for the sake of hope. Murder is simply murder. Forcibly sacrificing others for one's own desires. Even one as diabolical as I would avoid such actions.
I see.
It's fine. Let's just leave him alone and find out who killed Coach Nekomaru as fast as we can. Just so you know, it's not like I'm getting hungry or anything, you know.
Akane! You were drooling waterfalls? Anyway, if the killer used the building structure, why don't we think about how the...
How?
It might be better if we...
I see! That's it?
Died from...
If the fun... Then the kill...
Are you saying that
Where...
it might be pop?
You could... Did you for...
When the elevator is on the first, you can't go through the door on the fourth floor.
It'd be impossible to shove off the victim from a...
Then, how about this? After locking Nekomaru inside, they moved the elevator from the fourth and made use of the drop.
Hold on! Did you forget the elevator has a sensor?
As long as there's a moving object inside.
No, that's wrong! That sensor should only work if something... When Nekomaru's good night... If he... Nice...
However, there would have been...
That's settled now! If you arrange it a certain way, you can cause the drop within the elevator.
So you're telling us all... to think about the arrangement, right?
That arrangement is... The hammer is suspicious.
Isn't it about time we went over the pillar?
What about the oil on the floor?
The doorknob on the floor seems suspicious. I agree with that. Didn't the doorknob have scrape marks on it? That might have been where it got scraped by the wire. Is that the same wire that... The tip of that wire... If the elevator moved while that loop part hung from the...
If they did... That's right. Huh? The killer tied up Mekamaru with the wire while he was in sleep. Tied the tip of the wire into it. With that, they moved the elevator from the fourth floor to the first floor of... and suspended Nekomaru in midair.
That's right! He was so well hung! Kinda like...
You better not finish that sentence!
The killer took advantage of the elevator's unique feature. Only the floor moves. By doing that, they created a drop so Nekomaru could fall to his death.
Too easy. So what if they created a drop? There's no way you can make him fall and die with just that. Why? If Nekomaru is suspended in midair like that, then how do you get him to fall? Because if he's suspended in midair, he won't die if he doesn't actually fall. Even if they suspended Nekomaru from a... How would they make him fall? There's no one in the tower to push him off. There's no way they could do that. Even if they suspended Nekomaru from a... How would they make him fall? There's no one in the tower to push him off. There's no way they could do that.
It doesn't mean someone had to push him off. It's possible that he fell on his own.
What? Nekomaru fell on his own? Nekomaru should have still been in sleep mode, right? If he was sleeping, there's no way he could do that to... Now's the time if you want to... But in that case, you still won't be able to explain the drop. Moving the elevator with Nekomaru inside is just impossible. End of story. What? Nekomaru fell on his own? Nekomaru should have still been in sleep mode, right?
Allow me to cut through those words! What do you think would happen if Nekomaru woke up while he was suspended upside down in midair?
What are you saying? Like, how would he even wake up?
He has an alarm inside his body. As long as it was armed, it would have deactivated his sleep mode. Which means the killer set the alarm before they suspended Nekomaru.
If you woke up from an alarm and realized you were hanging upside down and had no clue why, if something like that happened to you, you would start panicking a lot, right? Instinctively, your body would start moving. Nekomaru probably did exactly that.
And then, in order to make him fall from the force he was generating, the wire was hung on the tip of the doorknob so it would easily slip off. In actuality, the scrape marks caused by the wire were near the tip of the doorknob, right?
But Nekomaru didn't fall because the wire came off, right?
He fell because the entire doorknob came off.
When Nekomaru awoke, he must have struggled much more than expected, which caused the doorknob to break off.
Was that unexpected for the killer too?
Well, that's probably it. If they knew it'd leave behind evidence like that, they would have at least tried to do something to cover it up.
I see. So that's how Nekomaru fell to his death.
Do you finally understand now?
Yeah. It appears it's just as Miss Sonia said. I'm just a pest. Isn't that right, Miss Sonia? If I'm a fucking...
No, I believe you gave your all.
Hey! Why aren't you teasing me? This guy.
He gets...
So thanks to that alarm, Nekomaru ended up falling while he was still hanging upside down. That doesn't mean he just crashed straight into the floor. Of course, you know that too. I see!
When Nekomaru fell to the floor, he ended up colliding with the pillar. Isn't that it?
Finally, the pillar!
So that's how the pillar shattered, and why oil was spilled all over the place.
See, I told you the pillar was the weapon. My gut was...
Well, the pillar was a bonus. It's not even clear if the killer intended that, or if it was just a coincidence.
At this point, it is quite difficult to find a clue that will lead to the killer.
Then what about the alarm? I'm positive the alarm was set for 7:30 a.m. And if we map it out from there...
Hold on, baby gangsta!
Stop calling me...
What'd you just say? Did you say the alarm?
You didn't check it yourself.
Nah, that's impossible. Because even though I slept in a little, I still got to the tower at 7
Now that you mention it, so did I. There was no way I could be late for Monokuma Tai Chi, so I left for Grape Tower before 7 a.m.
And if we found Nekomaru's body there, it would have been before the 7:30 a.m. alarm went off.
It appears yet another contradiction has been... How were you able to discover Nekomaru died?
That's what I want to know.
We headed for Grape Tower before 7 a.m., I am certain.
But the alarm inside Nekomaru's chest was set for 7:30 a.m.
Nekomaru died because of that alarm, right?
This time of death and the time the body was discovered. One of those must be an illusion.
Killer probably did some tamper. They probably messed with the clock inside Nekomaru's chest. That's gotta be it!
We headed for Grape Tower before 7 a.m., I am certain.
But the alarm inside Nekomaru's chest was set for 7:30 a.m.
Nekomaru died because of that alarm, right?
This time of death and the time... One of those must be an illusion.
Killer probably did some tamper. They probably messed with the clock inside Nekomaru's chest. Damn it!
We headed for Grape Tower before 7 a.m., I am certain. We headed for Grape Tower before 7 a.m., I am certain.
But the alarm inside Nekomaru was set for 7:30 a.m.
Nekomaru died because of that alarm, right?
This time of death and the time the... One of those must be an illusion.
The killer probably did some tamper. They probably messed with the clock inside Nekomaru's chest.
No, that's wrong!
No, the clock inside his chest was a radio clock.
So you're saying there's no way the killer could have tampered with the clock?
Maybe the clock Miss Sonia saw was the one that got tampered with.
The clock inside Grape House?
No, I checked all the clocks inside the funhouse.
Oh, that's what I asked you to do. So you really listened to me and checked all...
And because of that, I can confidently declare that...
If there's no possibility that the time was tampered with, then we must doubt that human's testimony.
Please believe me, we are not lying.
Then maybe it's a misunderstanding?
I never misunderstand. I'll crush you into dog food.
It's all coming together! You said you checked all the clocks inside the building. Isn't that right, Fuyuhiko?
Yeah, none of the clocks had the wrong time.
But what if all those clocks had been messed with?
What? All the clocks?
So even if you checked all the clocks inside the building, there's no way you'd have noticed it.
I see. So the killer messed with the time inside the whole building.
So that's what it was. There's no way I would have noticed that.
This is truly fantastic!
Now's not the time to be pleased. More importantly, how much was...
If the time in the building was all messed up, then we can only rely on Nekomaru's radio clock.
The time of death was clearly 7:30 a.m.
The problem is, what time would 7:30 be? in our time.
Are there any clues that can be used to narrow that down? If only I heard the sound when you fell. It would have been a great clue.
Or his scream.
He's not the type to let out a
Only Nekomaru's alarm was loud enough.
Damn it!
If the time in the build, then we can only rely on Nekomaru's radio clock.
The time of death was clearly 7:30 a.m.
The problem is, what time in our time?
Are there any clues that can be used to narrow? If only I heard the sound when you fell. It would have been a great clue.
Or his scream.
He's not the type to let out a scream.
If only Nekomaru's alarm was loud enough, we would have heard it too.
There's no point in saying that. If does not exist in this world.
If the time in the building was all messed up, then we can only rely on Nekomaru's radio clock.
The time of death was clearly 7:30 a.m.
The problem is, what time in our time?
Are there any clues that can be used to narrow? If only I heard the sound when you fell.
I agree with that.
That's right. We should have heard the sound he made when he fell.
Rumbling?
I thought it was just an earthquake, so I went back to
Well, a huge body fell from the 4th floor to the 1st, and the pillar fell with it. It's obvious we'd hear the impact sound.
We heard that noise too.
It was when we were gathered at the Strawberry House. What is it, Sonia?
Oh, well. That sound everyone heard? I did not hear it at all.
Huh?
You probably didn't hear it because you were sleeping.
I could not sleep at all. I was awake the whole night with hunger pangs.
There's nothing to worry about. What's important?
If we use that rumbling sound as a reference, we might be able to figure out how much our time was off.
I heard that sound probably around 5:30 in the morning.
Huh? You can tell?
I instantly woke up and left my room. And that's when I saw the clock in the lounge.
Excellent work, Akane!
I see!
Nekomaru's alarm went off at 7:30, and if we heard this, that means our time was off by 2 hours.
2 hours?
We were starving pretty badly. There's no way we would have noticed.
Plus, the funhouse has no windows. And there weren't any...
However, for what reason did the killer alter our
The reason is obvious, so they can lure out just Nekomaru. If you messed with the clocks and used a specific thing, you definitely get Nekomaru to the tower alone, right? From there, the killer's plan was a splendid success. I see!
That's it. The killer made use of the Monokuma Tai Chi activity in the morning.
How did they use it?
We were required to go to Great Tower every morning at 7 a.m. for that activity, right? But if they messed with all the clocks inside the building, what would that do to us?
We wouldn't be able to attend on time, but that wouldn't affect Nekomaru. His radio clock had the exact time.
That's right. In doing so, the killer was able to lure him to the tower.
Then, when I witnessed Nekomaru early in...
If I recall, you witnessed Nekomaru around 5 a.m. And if that time was also 2 hours off, it should have been 7 a.m. At that time, he was heading over to Monokuma Tai.
I see. Now that I think about it, I realize what Monokuma meant when he said those words.
Too early! He didn't even ask you yet!
said everyone. You were including us, right? We thought we came to the tower on time, but in truth...
Ah, jeez! That's, what was it? You know, tripping over a foot, or something.
Are you talking about tripping over someone else's...
Wrong! Liar! That's not it! It's it!
That's definitely the...
Let's just ignore the peanut gallery. Now that we've found out how the killer lured, the number of suspects has drastically decreased.
Hey, how did that decrease the number of suspects? Don't be a...
You'll know I'm not lying when you listen to what Fuyuhiko's going to say next.
Huh? What the hell do you mean?
You witnessed Nekomaru going toward the tower. Did something else happen after that?
Are you talking about that alarm? A little while after I witnessed Nekomaru, the clock in the Strawberry House lounge started going off. Plus, it was just before that rumbling sound occurred. That's it. So that's what it is. If Nekomaru died when the rumble happened, then whoever doesn't have an alibi at the time is the prime suspect.
Really? Was there anyone who didn't have an alibi at that time?
The sound was so loud I couldn't help bolting from my room. But we were both on the same floor. It's pretty weird that bastard never came out of his guest room.
Which means that person does not have an alibi for when... Who is it? Who...
You're the only one! The one who wasn't there. It's...
That's right. Nagito wasn't there. It's just me, Gundam, and Fuyu.
You didn't come out, even though the alarm was going off like crazy. You weren't in your room.
What? If that's the case, where were you?
Please, say something!
If you don't hurry up and answer, I'm gonna suicide dive you!
If I may be frank, even if I wanted to go to the lounge,
You couldn't? What do you mean?
It's merely the foolish talk of the weak.
not only did I not hear the alarm, I never even heard that rumbling sound.
You're definitely...
However, that is also true for me. It is obvious that I did not hear the alarm in Strawberry House. But I did not hear the rumbling sound either. Is that not strange? I mean, everyone else heard it. To be honest, it's not just them. The same goes for me too. I was in a pretty deep sleep, so I thought that's why I couldn't hear it. But it wasn't that. I probably couldn't hear it at all.
Couldn't hear it? What is that?
You still don't know. Think about what the three of us who didn't hear a sound have in common.
Nagito, Sonia, and Chiaki. The three of you were staying in deluxe rooms, right? If I recall, the deluxe rooms are...
The reason we could not hear the rumbling noise.
That's right. It was because the deluxe rooms have superior sound insulation. You actually noticed that. Nice catch, Hajime. Are you using your ultimate reserve corps student talent? Now then, you guys must understand by now, right? The true
Hold on a sec! Why does that lead to who the killer is?
Why? Well, that fact just now is a very important clue.
Decisive factor?
You're the only one!
Gundam, there's some... When the alarm rang at the Strawberry House Lounge, you rushed over there too, right?
What's wrong with that? If the bell of catastrophe rings throughout the night, it is the
Why were you able to hear it?
Hear what?
I mean, you were also staying in a deluxe room, right? Nagito was staying in a deluxe room in the same house on the same floor, and he couldn't even hear it. So why were you able to hear it? There was only one possibility. You weren't... That's why, even though you were staying in a deluxe room, you still went to the lounge. Am I right?
Gundam,
Gundam probably couldn't return to his room because of Fuyuhiko.
Me?
After you saw Nekomaru heading to the tower, you stayed at the lounge for a while. Until the moment that alarm started ringing, right? If you were in the lounge for that long, the killer who had left earlier obviously wouldn't be able to go back.
even though Nekomaru's murder was a death trap that utilized the alarm in his chest, the killer still needed to prepare the murder in advance.
Like putting Nekomaru in sleep mode and tying him up with the wire.
In order to do that, the killer needed to be waiting for Nekomaru at the tower. Which means when Fuyuhiko witnessed Nekomaru, the killer...
And once they tried to go back, they couldn't because Fuyuhiko was at the lounge.
In their original plan, the killer should have returned to their room before the alarm and they were supposed to stay in their room. They weren't planning to come out and go to the lounge.
Which means they wouldn't have heard the alarm or the rumbling sound. thus proving they were in the room, just like us.
The best case scenario would have been if those two in the lounge had gone to check the deluxe rooms. After all, if they personally saw the killer sleeping in their room, it gives the killer a stronger alibi. Unfortunately, they failed to secure that alibi. So the killer couldn't go back to their room, and ended up hearing the lounge's alarm.
But why'd you come out? You should have hid till the excitement died down.
If Gundam tried to hide, and if those two went to his room to check on him, that would have been the worst possible outcome. That's why he couldn't just stay hidden.
If those two had just checked the deluxe rooms as planned, that would have been ideal, but how ironic. The moment Fuyuhiko set foot in the lounge, your plan was doomed.
Gundam? Please.
Answer me this, including myself in my 4 dark devas of destruction. How many? The answer is 10. That's right, I possess 10 ears. That means I have 5 times the hearing of a normal human. The sound...
Is that your argument?
You bastard! Do you understand the situation?
Do not panic. The truth shall at the time I left my room to go to the bathroom. By coincidence, I heard the alarm. That's right. That's all it was. The world is always so simple.
Are you saying it was just a coincidence? Isn't that time?
And yet, I'm being suspected by all of you. It seems it was...
I see. You're still... Well, you don't have to admit it. We're going to decide who the killer is with the majority vote anyway. So, why don't we just go ahead and start voting? It's odd.
Hold on a second.
You know, Hajime, this class trial, this killing, it's merely the opening act, you know.
Hey! What do you mean the class trial is just the opening act?
Perhaps I should say, it's just a farce. Just a boring farce. So boring, so stressful. I'm so painfully... Seriously! Let's just hurry up and finish this before I collapse from poor health.
Nagito, something definitely happened to you, didn't it? At some point during the investigation, your behavior became even weirder. What actually happened? Did you discover?
Well, let's just leave that fun for later. And finish this opening act already.
You said opening act again!
Please hold on! We have yet to hear Gundam's
But he's completely shut up. Perhaps he can...
Gundam!
I was simply at a loss for words after being dumbfounded by your pathetic assumption. In fact, I shall deny the very basis. Your assumption has been wrong since the beginning.
Since the beginning?
Based on your assumption, I hung Nekomaru from the 4th floor of the tower and made the floor descend to the 1st floor. From there, after returning to Strawberry House, I was present when the alarm at the lounge went off, correct? Although going to and fro is busy enough as it is, how would I be able to travel between both houses anyway?
Let's see. The contact elevator was broken.
As I recall, the killer tampered with the Grape House control panel, which shut down the elevator. Plus, the stopped elevator should have been facing the Grape House side. If so, the human who used the elevator would have left it at Grape House. For these reasons, it's an indisputable fact that the killer destroyed...
And what's wrong with that? If the elevator was broken at Grape House, he wouldn't be able to return to Strawberry House.
However, I was already at Strawberry House. I was present when the alarm in the lounge started ringing. Which means your assumption is clearly wrong.
Are you serious? And here I thought...
Have you learned your lesson, pitiful humans? You cannot overcome this contradiction. That elevator was the only means of travel between the two houses.
Damn it!
That elevator was the only means of travel between the two houses. As long as that elevator was broken, your assumption collapses!
Plus, the elevator was broken at Grape House.
If the killer cannot return to Strawberry House,
Since I was at Strawberry House, there's no question that the following crime is impossible.
It would have been different if they had an accomplice.
Or if there was a secret passageway.
How much longer do you plan to lecture me? Why don't we That elevator was the only means of travel between the two houses. As long as that elevator was broken, your assumption collapses!
Plus, the elevator was broken at Grape House.
if the killer cannot return to Strawberry House,
Since I was at Strawberry, there's no question that the following crime is impossible.
It would have been different if they had an accomplice.
Or if there was a secret passageway.
How much longer do you plan to lecture me? Why don't we stop this already? That elevator was the only means of travel between...
No, that's wrong! No, there should have been another...
Such a method does not exist!
Then why don't we ask the person who actually used it?
You're the only one!
Nagito? Don't play dumb. You appeared so suddenly that one time because you used that method, right? There's a secret passage connecting the first floor of Strawberry House to the third floor of Grape House. Isn't that right?
Jeez. Once again, I let the reserve course show up. But you're right. There's a door on the floor of the Octagon, which is on the first floor of Strawberry House. After I opened the door and went down, surprise, surprise! I ended up in...
Meaning, the third floor and the fourth floor are actually connected.
Plus, once you've cleared the final dead room once, you can pass through it as many times as you want.
If they used that secret passage, they could have gone between the two houses as much as they wanted.
Infinity Unlimited Flame! However, what if the killer was unaware of the existence of the final dead room?
There's no way they didn't know.
That is merely an illusion you have fabricated from your own suspicion. If you value your life, you should stop with your scrutiny.
There's no way I can stop.
Don't make me angry! Even if the turbid box doesn't exist, you could travel through multiple planes, provided you use a spacious wormhole. However, how frail I say! Your decayed illusion. Shall I feed you to the progeny of vile deities? Even if the turbid box doesn't exist, you could travel through multiple planes, provided you use a spacious wormhole. However, how frail I say! Your decayed illusion. Shall I feed you to the progeny of vile deities? Even if the turbid box doesn't exist, you could travel through multiple planes, provided you use a spacious wormhole. However, how frail I say! Your decayed illusion. Shall I feed you to the progeny of vile deities? Even if the turbid box doesn't exist, you could travel through multiple planes, provided you use a spacious wormhole. However, how frail I say! Your decayed illusion. Shall I feed you to the progeny of vile deities? Even if the turbid box doesn't exist, you could travel through multiple planes, provided you use a spacious wormhole. However, how frail I say! Your decayed illusion. Shall I feed you to the progeny of vile deities? Even if the turbid box doesn't exist, you could travel through multiple planes, provided you use a spacious wormhole. However, how frail I say! Your decayed illusion. Shall I feed you to the progeny of vile deities?
I already proved the secret passage exists. The secret passage was at the Octagon.
Know the limits of... You say the killer went to the Octagon? Don't bark, you cur! If you don't want to drown in the maelstrom of blood...
Allow me to cut through those words! The wire used to string up Nekomaru's body, the hammer that looked like the weapon, and the chain on the door in the tower. Those are all the items that weren't in Funhouse. Where did the killer obtain them?
The only place I can think of. There were various weapons and tools there.
Since those items were used in the crime,
If that's the case, they obviously know about the secret.
Danganronpa.